The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome to today's role play session with your host, James McDonald.
Well, thank you very much, Andrea. I'd like to start by welcoming our participants to our role play session. I hope that you're all eager to volunteer to do some role playing and show off your mad skills with lead conversion. I'm going to take as many volunteers, but remember this, in addition to discussing and doing role playing, we can also discuss any of your follow-up related questions that you might have. So if it involves in any way converting a lead, then this would be the perfect forum to have that discussion. So you can either volunteer to do that if you have a live mic, or you can type it into the chat. Andrea is monitoring the chat constantly throughout the webinar here. So we'll discuss anything that's brought up throughout the webinar here today, starting, of course, with volunteers that want to do some role playing with us. And I hope that you guys are having good success with your lead conversion, and that by participating and coming on these webinars every week, it does help. One of the things that we suggest, and I know that some of you have done this and probably most haven't, but you want to find someone, kind of buddy up and have a partner where you can practice doing some role playing with each other. Because obviously you can do that with a 15-minute phone call. And when you're at the conference, so here's what I might recommend. If you do not have somebody that you do regular role playing with, all right, I know I'm talking about spending 15 or 20 minutes, maybe every week doing role playing. You'll find it really helpful. It really, really is helpful. But here's what you might want to do. When you come to the seminar in April, coming up in a couple weeks, less than a couple weeks now, I guess, you're going to meet lots of people, and you've already met lots of people, so you'll see familiar faces since you're coming back again. And what you want to do is you want to find somebody and set up a time where you're going to spend 15 or 20 minutes once a week. You just call each other, and you use that 15, 20 minutes to do nothing but role play. Just practice on each other, role playing, role playing, role playing. And I assure you, you'll get better. See, and the reason I suggest that is because I know that it is only a fraction of you that ever will volunteer to do a role play on the role play session. So primarily every week when you're coming here, you're listening, okay? Overwhelmingly you're listening, which is great, and it's really important. And to hear, your fellow coaching students do the universal script is very helpful to you. There's no question about that. But you actually practicing the script with somebody else is really a key ingredient to getting better at it. So just find someone, agree to meet for 15, 20 minutes over the phone once a week. And all you do when you're on your phone is crank it out. Just crank out the role plays, and you'll get better and better and better, and you'll learn from each other, and it'll be really, really helpful. So anyway, that's my little recommendation before we get started here this morning. Also, any ads that you're running that you'd like us to take a look at tomorrow on our marketing session, please upload those ads to the Ad Clinic file, and we will take a look at them. We did get, I know Nick sent in his Facebook efforts, Andrea, earlier this week, so we'll take a look at that. He did very well in his Facebook ads, generating a ton of leads using a Facebook group. But anyway, we'll talk about that tomorrow. Today, we need to convert the leads. So, Andrea, why don't we get started and why don't we start off by seeing what kind of questions we have in the chat before we take some volunteers?
Okay, we don't have any yet. All we have is volunteers, but if you'd like to volunteer or you have a question, go ahead and type it in the chat box now, or if you're on the telephone or you have a mic, go ahead and click the hand icon or type "I would like to role play." Here's one quick question. You mentioned getting volunteers to role play. How would Pat, one of our members, get emails or contact information of other members?
I'm sorry, Andrea, how would who get what on who?
I'm sorry. Pat wants to take you up on your offer, saying role play with other members or other people in the area. Where would? Well,
you're not going to get a list. You're not getting a list. You're going to come to the seminar. Yeah, when you come to the seminar, you're going to meet them face to face, and have human contact conversations with people, and that's where you're going to find someone. And you're going to say, hey, you know what? I got an idea. Why don't you and I spend some time role playing every week? But if you're coming to the seminar, which 90+% of you are coming in April, then that would be a perfect time. You're going to be in a room with all of your coaching members, all of your fellow colleagues in the coaching program. You will have ample opportunity to meet all kinds of like-minded students of the system, and you'll be able to set up something with somebody. But no, I'm not going to give you like say, here's a list and these are the people you should try, because honestly, I don't know. And I think it would be better, you'd probably establish somebody a lot more suitable by just meeting people when you're at the conference. So that's the approach I think you should take.
Perfect. We have a newer member asking, are there more scripts and dialogues other than the one-page universal callback script?
What a lovely question. The reason it's called the universal callback script is because it truly is universal. In other words, it doesn't matter why the prospect responded. We're going to use the identical script, and all that we're going to modify is the introduction as to the reason we're calling them. So in other words, if the prospect responded to an offer for a list of properties, we're going to use the identical universal script as if a prospect requested information on a certain property, or information on a free special report, or information on a home evaluation. The reason it's called a universal script is because we use the same script universally regardless of where the lead came from. And because of that, think of the script as more of an outline of what you're trying to accomplish when you're speaking to a prospect. Think of it this way. If we identify a prospect for any reason, let's say that you collected, you did a Sunday tour of homes, or you did an open house, and you collected names and contact information of everyone that came to the open house. Now you want to follow up with the prospects that came to the Sunday tour or the open house. When you call them back, what are you going to say? Answer, universal callback script. It's designed to speak to prospects universally. It doesn't matter where the prospect came from. All we're doing is modifying the introduction. The reason I'm calling is because you came to my open house yesterday looking for information on 123 Maple Street, and I wanted to let you know that I did get your email address and forwarded you additional information on the property. I hope that's okay, Mrs. Smith. By the way, are you thinking about making a move in the next 3 to 6 months? So it is truly universal in that it doesn't matter where the prospect came from. As long as they're a prospect, we can use the same one script to determine their timing and motivation. And that is the key, is the reason the script is universal is because if you think about it, it doesn't matter who you're speaking to. All you want to know from that person is what is their timing and motivation to make a move. What is your timing and motivation to make a move? How serious are they and when? That's what we're trying to figure out. And the universal callback script accomplishes that ends. It allows us to determine the timing and motivation of a prospect regardless of where the prospect came from. So now, we do have additional dialogue to handle objections that might come up. That might be unique, different objections. I mean, we've identified there are probably, less than a dozen that are the most common objections, and that's separate dialogue. And obviously, you'll find that on the website, the members' website. But as far as a script, it's interesting. I talk about this a lot with brand new students of the system, or that are considering becoming students of Craig's system, is that the reason that there are so many other scripts that you might get, you join a company and they give you all these scripts, or you enroll in some old school trainers program and they give you 50 scripts in 50 days, and all this stuff. Well, 2 points I want to make, and the first is one that Craig makes all the time, which is if you had a script that was really, really good and effective, you wouldn't need 50 others. You'd only need one. And that's exactly true. The universal script is so good and it's so effective and it does the job so well that you don't need any others. You need one, the one that works. Okay, but the second thing is this, and this is something that's maybe a little more introspective, and it's that if you really stop and you look at where these scripts came from, way too often, they were written in theory. In other words, somebody sat down and wrote this script up, not based on years and years of speaking to prospects and figuring out what works and what doesn't work, but in their head, they developed a theory of, theoretically, if I say this, this should work, and the prospect should say this, and I should say this. But overwhelmingly, if you look at these scripts, they were written by somebody that's never, ever actually used them in the practice that they were intended. So you've got a trainer inventing all of these scripts that they don't sell any real estate. Many of them didn't even have a real estate license. Or, you take an old Mike Ferry script that he wrote in 1972 when he sold real estate for 18 months, 45 years ago. And it's not a bit of wonder that that might be more theoretical than actually effective in 2016, 40 plus years later. And so, and this is why we're so strong when it comes to, you must master the universal callback script, because it's only one script. That's it. But anyway, I feel like I'm selling you on the idea of something that you've already heavily invested in, so I'll stop now. Having said that, Andrea, why don't we do some role playing? Why don't we practice this universal script and get really good?
Perfect. We have Mario Daniel-Sconza. Your mic is now open.
Good morning.
Hey, Mario, how you doing today?
Well, if I was any better, the Toronto Maple Leafs would be on the verge of a Stanley Cup run.
Holy mackerel, you really are good then. You're living in a fantasy world that we can only dream of.
For now.
Yes, there you go. You know what? It's tough, having sports teams that you root for be just god awful is it's a difficult existence that you have to put in perspective. But yes, if you live in Toronto, I know many of you are from the Greater Toronto area. You're all over the continent, obviously, but yes, that is years and years of futility and pain, just agonizing. So I feel for you, Mario.
Right on, brother. Right on.
Okay, so let's do a role play session here. And who do you want me to be? What did I request from you?
You are a commissions inc. lead, and you requested to search homes for sale on our property search website.
Okay, good. All right, so you're calling me now. Ring, ring. Hello?
Hello, may I speak with James, please?
Yeah, this is James.
Hi, James. It's Mario Daniel-Sconza calling from Remax Real Estate. And the reason for my call is because I received your request to search homes for sale online using our property search website. And as a courtesy, I wanted to let you know that we have opened up full access for you to continue searching. Is that okay?
Yeah, how did I know a realtor was going to call me?
Yeah, are you folks planning on making a move in the next 3 to 6 months?
We're just looking.
Okay, do you currently rent or do you own your own home?
No, we own.
Okay, and would you prefer to buy before listing your home, James, or do you want to sell first?
You know what? I don't know. We're looking around. We're just going to see what's out there. We're not going to do anything. We're not doing anything right away. And certainly not until we find something that we like.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, would you be looking at staying local or moving out of the area?
No, we're definitely going to stay local. Yeah, we're also looking at some new construction as well as a possibility. But yeah, we're definitely, we're going to stay local. But again, we're early. We're just looking around.
I completely understand that. And now, James, do you have a realtor to help you when the time is right?
Yeah, well, I've got an agent that we met at an open house who's been sending us properties, and they've been pretty helpful. So yeah, we're getting information.
Okay, now there's a vast difference between the realtors today and the services they offer, the results they receive, and the fees they charge. Would you be open to meeting with me as well, or are you committed to the realtor that you're currently working with?
Yeah, they're not charging me any fees, so I'll just stick with them.
Okay, absolutely.
Since you brought it up, yeah, they're not charging me any fees, so I'll just stick with them.
Yes, absolutely, and you're right, James. It's my mistake in that regard because the fees are funded through the transaction and paid by the sellers. And I'm wondering, would you like me to email you daily updates of homes that match your home buying criteria?
Let's just stop for 1 second. Let's stop for 1 second. Do you see how you completely unnecessarily brought up something that you didn't need to?
Yes.
Why did you need to do that? All I said was I met an agent at an open house who's sending me properties. Why would you all of a sudden start to talk to me about fees? I never said I'm using that agent. They're the greatest thing ever, and I'm 100% committed to them. I never said. I said I met an agent at an open house who sends me properties. In no way did I say I'm committed to them and I'm only going to use them. And if they were so great, why would I have gone onto your Sync website to get properties? If the properties I was getting from that agent were so good, why would I be on your website requesting access to properties? So all you did by bringing up you should choose me instead of them because of my fees are different is all you did was you introduced the idea that this costs money when in fact there are no fees. So I really want you to reconsider what you're doing there. Listen, the reason that you would use that dialogue would only be if a prospect said, yes, I have an agent. I'm gonna be using them. It's somebody that I met at an open house and we're comfortable with them. Right now, in that circumstance where I've said, yes, I'm committed to them, now you might want to introduce the idea of, well, not all realtors are the same. They don't do the same job and they certainly don't get the same results. Would you be at least open to considering other realtors who might be able to help you in a different and better way? Yes or no? But to just voluntarily, for no reason whatsoever, bring up fees and all of these things, I just want you to see how that can really, really backfire if you do that unnecessarily. Okay? So let's say that didn't happen, and I said, and now you're making me the offer. So I've told you that I'm looking around, and by the way, Mario, one other thing, I also told you that I was at an open house. So does that kind of tell you that I'm pretty motivated if I'm looking online and I'm going to open houses looking at properties? Does that speak to my level of motivation?
It definitely does.
Okay, so now you're going to make me the offer. So shoot.
Okay. James, would you like me to email you daily updates of homes that match your home buying criteria from all the different real estate companies?
Yeah. I'll just can I access them through the website or?
Well, James, our list it works very well actually, and our list includes bank foreclosures, company-owned properties, for sale by owners, expired listings, standing builder inventory, and other sorts of difficult to find online on your own opportunities. It's a free service, and of course, you're never obligated to buy a home. Would that interest you?
It would. It would. I'm just a little confused though. So am I accessing all of those properties through your website?
The properties that I have sent that you are accessing through our website, James, are a one-time snapshot. The properties I'm proposing to send you are a more detailed list with opportunities that are not found online. Would you like access? Would you like priority notification to the best deals that come on the market before any other buyers know about them?
Of course. Yeah, sure. That'd be great.
Okay, when can we get together for about 20 minutes, James, so I can take down exactly what you're looking for?
Well, I did. If you look on your website, I did put in my my description there. It it asked for some details there as to what my search criteria was. So I don't know if you had a chance to look at your website there, but I did include all of that information there.
Indeed you did, James, and I want to have as good an understanding of what you're looking for as you do. That way, rather than me emailing you hundreds of homes, which may or may not match your criteria, or more importantly, risk missing out on the perfect one, if we can get together for about 20 minutes, I have a form I fill out, and I can take down exactly what you're looking for. What's a good time to get together? Evenings.
Okay. Well, we could probably do it. Any evening after, say, after 6:30.
Okay. Would this evening at 7 p.m. work well?
Yeah. No, this evening's not good.
Okay. How about tomorrow evening, James? Would that work?
Do you see where this is going now? So you're just going to keep on guessing times. So follow the script. Would you prefer days, evenings, or weekends? When I pick, you give me options. Always give me options. Never give me one. Always give me options, right? Never say, are you available tonight at 6? Because I'm going to say no. Then you're going to be just guessing times. But if you give me options, it feels like I'm the one that's picking the time. Okay, so anyway, let's say we do that and we book the time. All right, so first of all, here's what I want to say. You and I have done some role plays in the past, and this is what I've definitely noticed. Your description and your explanation of the offer you're making is getting better and better and better every time you and I do a role play. For example, what you're doing is you are giving examples of proprietary properties, right? Which is really good. Like you're saying to me, hey, look, would you also like access to for sale by owners, to pocket listings, to private sales, to unclaimed properties? You're giving me examples of what I might perceive as a hard to find great deal. And so it's making the prospect want what it is you're offering. And that's really, really good. Here's the only thing that I'm going to suggest, other than the issue with, are you working with an agent, Mario, is you are good enough at this now where you've got to make this conversational and you've got to make this less scripted so that it doesn't sound like you're reading. Okay? You're the professional, you're the expert. You have this same conversation over and over and over again with everybody. So we know what we're going to say next. We can simply have a conversation with our prospect. And the way that Mario speaks, Mario can say the same words, but without sounding like you're reading or sounding, theatrical. This is where we make the jump from you've memorized the script to you've internalized it and mastered it. That's the jump that you're making right now, from memorization to internalized, where it's so second nature that you're simply having a conversation with a prospect. But that transition, how you know you've made that is that instead of me doing a script with you, what is happening is you and I are having a conversation about my real estate plans. And when you go back and you listen to our role play, Mario,
yes.
If you were to go back and listen to yourself a month ago or so, compared to today, you definitely see that you've made massive improvements. However, what you would still notice is it still sounds like you're reading and following a script, and that's something that has to go away. So I don't know if you have it in front of you. I don't know if you read it, but if you do, it's a crutch. I want you to try to get rid of it, and I want you to have a conversation about real estate with your prospect. Because if I were to have an over-the-phone consultation with a lawyer, I know that they wouldn't be reading a script. They're a lawyer. They know what they're talking about. They know what they're doing. They know what to suggest. They know what questions to ask. I would be having a conversation with an expert. If I had a phone consultation with a financial advisor, they would not be reading a script. They would be having a conversation with me. And that's exactly what I want everybody to sound like when you're the expert. And it instills massive confidence in you, in the prospect, if they sound like they're talking to an absolute expert. And if you're reading something, it takes away from that, obviously. Okay, in the prospect's mind, if you're reading something or if you sound overly scripted, it kind of speaks to, well, how well do you know what you do? You know, I mean, whatever they do for their job, I'm sure they know it well enough that they don't read a script. So I just can't tell you how important that next step in the process is. And you're well on your way there, but that's the next thing that you're working on, Mariel. So I do appreciate you volunteering, and we'll do it again. We'll do it again after the conference.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
We have a question from Rachel that she's been trying to get answered for the past few sessions, so I want to go ahead and address it now. It says, if I'm calling my friends and people I know to see if they are interested to sell or buy after I say hello on the phone, how do I bring the universal script into the conversation?
Well, I mean, I guess if it's your friend, if it's somebody you know, then obviously it can be a lot less formal, but you're still asking those same questions, right? I mean, you still, even if it's someone you know, you want to know how serious they are. I mean, essentially, it's an exploration to find out their timing, their motivation. So if it's your really good friend, like if I was talking to Andrea, I would say, all I would do is I would say exactly what is in the script. I would follow every question like this. I'd say, Andrea, you're thinking about making a move in the next 3 to 6 months, bro? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Listen, here's the bottom line. It's wonderful that you're speaking to somebody you know, because obviously you're a lot more comfortable and they're a lot more comfortable with you. But the fact remains that you still have to determine their timing and motivation. You can just do it in a less formal way, but essentially, yes, you have to ask the questions before you know the answer. I would also suggest this. Even though they're your friend, if they were selling their home, you would have no problem compelling them to list their home with you by signing a contract. So if they're looking to buy a home, you can't all of a sudden say, oh, well, no, I'm not going to make them sign a buyer contract. Wait a minute. If they were selling, you'd make them sign a listing contract. Why does your brain say, okay to sign listing contract, not okay to sign buyer contract? Don't do that, right? Understand, you are in the business of representation. That's what you do for a living. Realtors represent clients. If you don't have a client that you represent, you're out of business. So it doesn't matter that they're your friend. The benefit of representation is limitless. So just as if they were a seller, if they are a buyer, you're going to get your best friend, your mother, to sign the contract. That is what officially hires you as their representative. Now they've hired you as their legal representative in this real estate matter. And that's what we do for a living. So, so really, regardless of whether it's a friend or not, we're really not deviating too much from the way we would handle it if it was somebody that we didn't know at all. I hope that helps.
Okay, we'll go on to our next hand raised from Jeffrey Gills. Your mic is now open. Jeffrey, you're live.
Hello, Jeffrey.
Yes, hi. This is my first time on here, so I do apologize. I think I might have pressed the button by accident, so you guys can continue on it. I'm just listening, so thank you very much. I do apologize.
You're welcome. No problem. I won't put you on the spot.
I know. He was so nice.
He was testing to see if we were actually doing the call live.
We have Kara
Surprise!
Smith.
Surprise!
Kara Smith, your line is open.
Hi, it's actually Gabriella.
Hi, Gabriella.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good.
What would you like to do today?
Guess just a buyer inquiring on a home.
A buyer. Okay, now am I calling off a sign, or did I already request information about a property through your hotline or your website? How? What specifically did I do as the buyer prospect?
You requested information regarding one of our properties.
Okay, perfect. So you're going to call me back now. Okay, so ring. Hello.
Okay. Hi, is Mr. McDonald there?
Yes. Who's this?
Hi, Mr. McDonald. This is Gabriella with the Betrell team at Ardent Real Estate Services. And the reason that I was calling is because I received a request for information regarding the property at 1234 Main Street in Carlsbad?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, great. And while I looked that property up for you, were you planning on making a move in the next 3 to 6 months?
We'd like to. We're just looking around right now. So, yeah, I don't know about 3 to 6 months, but hopefully.
Okay. And were you currently renting, or do you own your own home?
No, we're renting. We're new to the area.
Okay. Where was it that you were renting? Were you planning on staying in the area or moving out of the area?
Yeah, no, we're in Carlsbad, so we're looking to stay, you know, in the Carlsbad area.
Okay, great. And I know that you said that you were thinking maybe 3 to 6 months, but did you have a realtor to help you when the time was right?
You know what? We've called on some properties, and we've had some realtors that have, you know, sent us some information and stuff like that. We've had a couple show us some properties, but obviously we don't know anybody here, so yeah, we're not really there yet. We're not, you know, like picking a realtor or anything like that. We're just looking right now, and we'll see what we find.
Okay. Well, would you like me to email you daily updates of homes that match your home buying criteria from all real estate companies? Our list actually includes any bank foreclosures, company-owned properties, or other distressed sales. It is a free service, and of course, you're never obligated to buy a home. Would that interest you?
Yeah. I guess that would be okay. Is this going to cost me any money?
No, again, it is a free service, but you would actually be getting priority access to homes that you wouldn't be able to find on your own on the internet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Send me those. That'd be great.
Okay. And when can we get together for about 20 minutes so I can take down exactly what you're looking for? What works best for you, days or evenings?
Probably evenings, but why do we need to meet?
Because I have a good idea of what you're looking for, but I'd like to have a great idea of what you're looking for. So that way, rather than emailing you hundreds of homes which may or may not match your criteria or risk missing out on the perfect one, we can actually get together for about 20 minutes, and I have a form that I fill out that I can take down exactly what you're looking for.
Okay. Yeah, okay, that's fine. I guess evenings is good.
Okay. Let's see. I have a Friday evening at about 6, or I have sometime this weekend, either at 5 on Saturday or about 6 on Sunday. Do either of those work for you?
Yeah, Sunday's fine.
Sunday? Okay. Perfect. Do you want me to continue, or?
Well, would you say anything more than that, or is that, or would you be done? What else would you say?
I would say more. Okay.
Okay, so let's keep going. What else might you want to establish?
Okay.
So we're sitting here on Thursday, and this appointment is on Sunday afternoon or early evening, right?
Right.
Okay, so that's like 4 days. We've basically got 4 days till the appointment. Okay, so what would you normally say now that we've got an appointment in place?
Okay. So that I can do the best possible job for you, could I ask you a few more questions?
Sure.
Okay. I know that you said that you wanted to stay within Carlsbad. How many bedrooms did you need?
We'd prefer 4.
4? Okay. And have you determined a price range that you want to stay within?
Yeah, well, somewhere, you know, around 900,000.
Okay. Okay, great. And is there anything else that's important to you in your next home besides the location and the price?
Yeah, we'll want to have a pool.
Pool. Okay.
Prefer it to be in a gated community. I guess that's not paramount, but would prefer that.
Okay. Great. And then have you spoken to any mortgage companies yet?
Yeah, well, my bank.
Okay. Okay, great. And then were you buying your home yourself or with someone else? Because I know that you said that you mentioned we, so I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Is that your
my wife and kids?
Wife and kids? Okay.
That's a we.
Okay. And what was your wife's name?
Janet.
Janet? Okay. And is Janet able to be there with us on Sunday?
Yep.
Okay, great. And then what was your address, just so I can send you a one-time mailer? It'll include some information regarding our services that you can look over before we meet. So if you have any questions, you can always bring those up at the time as well.
Okay. 1414 Maple Street.
Okay, great. And then I just wanted to confirm that your email was jamesmcdonald@gmail.com.
You got it.
Okay, perfect. All right, so then I'll be sending you a confirmation email for our appointment on Sunday. And just to recap, when we meet, we'll take down your exact home buying criteria so we can get you pictures and descriptions of homes in the area and price range that you are looking in. Again, those properties will include all of the area homes listed by real estate companies, as well as homes not on the internet. So those will include foreclosures, builder closeouts, corporate-owned homes, distressed sales, for sale by owners, and especially our own robust list of coming soon listings that we give our clients advance notice about before they even hit the market. Also, when we meet, we'll use a special form with over 100 individual home features, so you'll be less likely to miss out on the perfect home. And with our priority access, you'll be able to beat out other buyers to the best homes. Does that sound good?
Yep, sounds great. We'll see you on Sunday.
Great. See you then.
Okay. First of all, you are absolutely excellent. I mean, everybody. I'm certain that everybody that's on the webinar is listening, thinking like you are killer. You kick butt. That was really, really, really good. So,
thank you.
All I'm going to do is I'm going to make some little suggestions that are really tests. In other words, all you can do is you can test what you're doing versus changing one variable, one element of what you're doing, and see if it gets you any better results. If it doesn't, go back to what you're doing. If it does, okay, well then we've moved the ball forward a little bit. But here's what I'm going to suggest. So you booked the appointment with me, and I thought you did a really good job of explaining the offer and explaining the benefit of what you're offering. Okay, then you go into when can we get together so that I can take down what you're looking for, do a good job. Now, the reason that I wanted to see what you did once the appointment was booked is because under that circumstance, you're going to base it on what actually happens in practice. In other words, if you're booking all of these appointments and the appointments are either not showing up, canceling, or when they do show up, they're ill-qualified. They're not, in other words, you can't help them. All right, if any of those three things was happening, then you would have a problem that would need to be fixed. So let me first of all ask you, how often do any of those three things happen where either they don't show up, they cancel, or they do show up for the buyer appointment, but they are not qualified? How often does that happen?
I feel like lately it's been happening more often. Okay,
good. So this is what we need to, test a different approach to see if we can get them to be more motivated to shop. Okay, the first thing I would suggest is this. You asked me questions about what I was looking for. Don't do that. Don't ask me anything about what I'm looking for, because here's the honest truth. That's the purpose of the appointment, right? What I think you should do is all of the stuff that you said at the very end was what you should have said at the very beginning. I find that to be a lot more valuable. In other words, I agree that we're going to meet at 6:30. So you're going to say this, okay, just so that we can best prepare for the appointment, what I would like you and your wife to do is take a little time and consider everything that's really important to you in the home that you're looking for. That way we can do a really good, quick, thorough job of making sure we only find you the right properties. And remember, when you come on Sunday, you don't need to bring your checkbook or your wallet. It's absolutely free. We're not obligating you to buy anything. But if you have anything that you're absolutely wanting in the home you're looking for, take a little bit of time beforehand and do that. Does that sound easy enough for you, Gabriella?
It does.
Okay, now watch this. Now then I say this. By the way, how did you arrive at the price range that you're looking in? Have you been pre-qualified from a lender?
Okay.
That's my question. That's the only question I want to ask. How did you arrive at the price range you're looking in? Have you been pre-approved by a lender? And it's a yes or no. So they say, no, we haven't. Then I say, well, how did you arrive at your price range then? Like, how do you know? You're looking for 900,000. How do you know? Now, what they say to that is going to shed some real insight as to their qualification. Would you agree that would be true?
Yes. So then
Like
am I
if they said-
only asking what their price range is then?
No,
And
you don't need to ask. You don't. But think about it. Well, two things are true. One is if they already requested information on properties, they would already have included that. But it doesn't even matter. The question is this for anybody, regardless of what they're looking for. Gabriella, how did you arrive at the price range that you're looking in? Have you been pre-qualified from a lender?
Okay.
I don't know what your price. I didn't say what your price range was. I said, how did you arrive at the price range you're looking in? Have you been pre-qualified by a lender? If you say yes, great. See you on Sunday. If you say no, we haven't, then I go back to, well, how did you arrive at the price range you're looking in? I'd be curious. Now, if you said, well, you know, we're paying $5,000 a month rent right now, so we're looking for something. You know, I mean, that's basically what we're looking to spend on a house payment every month. So that puts it in the $900 to $1 million range, right? I mean, but that would shed major insight into, okay, is this person going to waste my time or are they good? But my point of asking you the original question was, if you're not finding this to be a problem, then we don't need to invent dialogue to fix something that isn't broken. But if you're getting people that aren't showing up, I think what you're going to find is this. If you reiterate the benefit of the appointment by giving them a little homework assignment, saying, hey, listen, take a little bit of time between now and Sunday and put pen to paper and consider all the things that are really important to you in the home that you're looking for. Okay, anything you can think of that would be really important. And that way we could do a quick but thorough job when you come on Sunday, and I can get you a list of properties right away. And remember, it's free. You can leave your wallet and checkbook in the car. There's no obligation to buy anything. We'll see you on Sunday. What that would do is it would make the prospect a lot less reluctant to no show.
Right. Okay. So then my next question would be, so because I did book it out on Sunday, would you suggest that I follow up or do anything in between those days?
Nope, I wouldn't. I would.
Okay.
You could send me an email, and the email would simply reiterate, when we're meeting, and take some time to. Sorry, hang on one second. I'm just gonna. Battery died there. Take some time to consider what you're looking for. We'll see you on Sunday. Here's our address. And that. Other than that, that's all. But if you call them, what you're doing is you're giving them an opportunity to cancel.
Right. Okay, so then a follow-up question on that. So then would you recommend sending out the confirmation email if it is booked like 4 days in advance, like 2 days? So that way it'll be a little bit closer?
Well, here's what you could do. So as soon as you get off the phone, you could send them the email right away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so right away they could put it in their day timer. And then the day before the appointment, you could also send it to them then as well. You send it to them twice.
Okay.
But I think you want to send it to them immediately after you get off the phone. You want to send them an email with your address, with a clickable link that would open up to their map.
Mm-hmm.
You know how well pretty much every smartphone will do that. So you get an email, it has an address. When you put in the address, it's blue, so you can tap on it, and it'll automatically open up that location in Maps. So that, boom, that's there. Now they're feeling like, okay, this appointment is, I've got this appointment now. Now they wake up on Sunday morning, there's another email sitting there in their email inbox. It's the exact same email as you sent them on Thursday here today, but we're just reiterating the appointment. Listen, we're going to test this, and this is what I suggested in the beginning. We're going to test doing it this way, and think about it. It's either going to work better than what you were doing before, or it isn't. If it isn't, then we can always go back to what you were doing and try something else. But if it does work better, okay, great. We move the ball forward, and now there'll be a new challenge, and we'll come up with something. All we're looking for is to make improvements, not only with booking appointments, but with them showing up. and with them being qualified. But I got to tell you, Gabriella, you are really outstanding, not just because of what you say, but because of how you say it. It's an absolute conversation with somebody who absolutely competently and confidently, takes control of the conversation in a very pleasant way and, leads me in the direction that this needs to go. So I would not be surprised at all if you were extremely successful with this. I'd be very surprised if you weren't.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, really, really great job. Thanks for volunteering.
Thanks.
We have a couple of our members asking about home hunting websites. How do you use the script when they're already receiving homes daily?
Because you're offering proprietary information. And by the way, that's something that Mario did an outstanding job of. Would you also be interested in harder to find deals that I have access to that you won't be able to find elsewhere? For example, bank foreclosures, distress sales, company-owned properties, for sale by owners, pocket listings, unlisted properties, unclaimed homes, probates. There are all kinds of deals that are available that you won't find searching on the internet. Would you also like access to those great deals absolutely free and without obligation? Would that be of interest to you? See how easy that is? In other words, if you're searching online for your property for sale, you're only being exposed to a fraction of the properties, a tiny fraction of the great deals, and you're finding the properties days, weeks, or months after the properties have already been seen by other buyers. It's a bad way to look for a home. Want to know a really good way to look for a home? Watch this. Every day in your email inbox appear any property that has come on the market immediately that match your criteria, including and especially the best, hardest to find deals that match what you and your family are looking for. It's free. There's no obligation. They're sitting there in your email inbox before any other buyers know that they're available for sale. Would you be interested in getting those emails every day? Sounds pretty damn good, doesn't it? That's because it is. That's because if you or I were looking for a property and we had that option available to us and we understood it the way we do, we would take it. We'd say, yes, that would be great. I would like that. So yes, you cannot compare searching on Zillow, to what you're proposing. The properties that are available on Zillow are old, often inaccurate information, only includes a fraction of the properties that are available, and isn't as good. What you're offering is far superior. Okay, very good. Andrea, who's next? Or do we have some questions in the chat?
We do, so I thought I'd address some more of those. Angela's saying, I have a lot of out-of-town buyers that are looking for a second home, so how do I use the script? I want them to go to my website and or set up a search for them, so I need their criteria.
I'm sorry, Andrew, I'm going to ask you to read that one more time.
Okay, I was hoping you were going to understand it because I didn't quite. It says, I have a lot of out-of-town buyers that are looking for a second home. So how do I use the script? She goes on to say, I want them to go to my website and or set up a search for them. So I need their criteria. So it sounds like she's either calling them, their referrals, but they haven't been to a site.
Okay, watch this. Like any other prospect, you can send them a one-time list of what they're looking for. All right, a one-time list. But then you're going to follow up with them, because if they're a serious prospect, if they're serious about buying a home in your marketplace in Florida, let's say, then it would be reasonable to call and ask, when are you planning on coming to Florida to look at properties? That's a reasonable question. When are you planning on coming to Florida? Like, I will send you a snapshot of what's available right now, but what's available right now is irrelevant if you're not coming to Florida for 2 months, because whatever's available today ain't going to be available in 2 months. So what you're really wanting to discover is, when are you planning on coming to the marketplace to look at property? In the meantime, you can absolutely send them a snapshot of what they're looking for, but I wouldn't do any more than that. I would send them, you could send them on a regular basis a snapshot of what's available, but you don't need to set them up on a daily search. Why? They're not they're not coming to the marketplace until they're coming. So you need to establish that timing. When are you planning on coming here? And then follow up with them in half the time that they suggest they're coming. Good question. All right, who's next?
Chuck has a question in reference to our last role play. It says, it appears that you were assuming office visit. He's saying that part of the script needs to be where to meet. How do we ask that so it works to our advantage?
Okay, well, first of all, because I'm a buyer only, Gabriella booked the appointment at her office or at their office. But my memory's foggy on that. I'm not sure how that was addressed. You're right. But yes, if it's a buyer, you want them to come and meet at your office. If they're a buyer with a home to sell, then you probably would be able to book the appointment at their home, and you could plus the appointment by saying, hey, look, while I'm there, I'll take a look at your property. I'll give you a market evaluation. It's free, but that'd be helpful. You'll know what you'll have left in your pocket once all the closing costs are incurred, and that'll be helpful for you in knowing what you can afford to, for your next purchase. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty straightforward that way.
Okay. Daniel asks, should we ask to have a mortgage broker check on their qualifications?
Well, I think what you're going to find is the benefit of them hiring you is that you work with lenders that can get them a great deal on a home loan. So in other words, as long as there isn't a red flag, and you're sure that you're pretty sure you can get them qualified, then why don't you book the appointment? Why don't you sit down with them? Why don't you take them to your buyer presentation and share with them in your buyer presentation, hey, you know what? One of the benefits of working with me is that I have relationships with lenders that will give my clients favorable terms and conditions on their home loans. So in other words, you walking into your bank off the street or wherever, the home loan that you would get from them isn't going to be nearly as good as I'm going to be able to get you as my client, a preferred client with my lender. So as a client of mine, this is another benefit of working with me. So if the prospect said, yeah, we've got good job stability, we've got good credit, and we make $15,000 a month combined family income, you don't need to say, well, I'm going to postpone our appointment and make sure you qualify. You don't need to do that. You don't need to risk losing them. You can have the appointment, get them signed to a buyer contract, and then get them in touch with your lender right away. That would be a better way to do it. That way, they're your client, and the benefit of working with you, one of the benefits of working with you is that you're going to get them a great home loan. All right, who's next?
Carl's question is, how many times do you call a lead before you stop calling because you have not made contact?
427. I came up with that number, 427. After 427, don't call them anymore because they're probably not going to answer. But here's the real answer, okay? The number of leads you generate is really going to dictate how many times you can call somebody. That's the real answer. If you generated one lead a week, then you'd be able to call that one lead 427 times. You really would. You'd be able to call them every day, and you'd be able to call them multiple times per day. But here's the reality. If you're generating 2, 3, 4, 5, some of you 10 leads a day, well, if you think about it, if you're always calling the most recent leads first, eventually you're not going to be able to get to the older leads that you keep continuously trying to reach. So realistically, what might happen is this. You might attempt to reach somebody on 5 or 6 occasions. And after that, the reason you're not going to be able to call them back again is because you have way too many newer leads that you're also trying to reach. So the newer leads take priority over the older ones. So it kind of happens by itself. But here's the honest truth. If you had the resources and the time, you would never give up on following up with a prospect because, if I said, Do prospects sometimes answer on the 8th attempt? The answer is yeah, they do sometimes. They sometimes do. Now, had you not called them back that 8th time, you would never have gotten them. And on that 8th time, you booked an appointment, you got a listing, and you made a $25,000 commission. You're pretty damn glad you called them 8 times, right? So putting it in perspective, the number of leads you generate is going to dictate this. But at the same time, there is no limit, because the idea is to reach the prospect. And if it requires you calling them back a whole bunch of times, but you eventually reach them, if that conversation results in an appointment, the question is, was it worth it? Was it worth attempting to reach them that many times? Yes, absolutely was worth it. So take that as your system, in that your rule is this: you will follow up with a lead as many times as necessary, but you're always going to follow up with the newest leads first. They will always take priority. A lead that came in on Tuesday is going to get called before a lead that came in last Friday. I'm not saying I'm not going to call the lead from last Friday, but the leads that I generated today and every day between today and last Friday, all of those leads are going to take priority over the lead on Friday. The more recent leads get priority, right? So as long as you're doing that, it'll work out on its own. All right, next.
Okay, that was all the questions we had right now. I have one that's pending some clarification before I ask it, from Nazira. Would you like to go ahead and take some more role plays?
Sure.
Okay, we have Gerda Scheider. Your line is open. Gerda? Okay.
Hello, Gerda.
We'll move on to Brian Jackson.
I don't know. I'm not sure that was a real name.
It was a fake name.
No wonder.
Brian Jackson, you're live on with us. Brian?
Hello, Ryan.
Hello. We can hear you.
I can't.
Oh, you can't? Okay.
Ryan, no.
Brian with a B.
Oh, Brian. I'm sorry, Brian.
It's okay. We'll move on.
Hello, Brian. Okay.
We'll go ahead and move on. They did type in they wanted to role play and raise their hands, but we're not hearing you, Brian. Hazel Tabayan, your mic is now open.
Yes, hi.
Hi, is this Hazel?
Yes, hi. Hi, James.
How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Okay. Are you like nervous or something?
Yep, because this is actually the first time that I joined in a role play. Okay. Though I've been listening to the webinars since last month, this is the first time that I participated. Okay, well, I promise you I won't be mean to you. Thank you. You're welcome. What I'm actually having problems right now is about seller, because our area is in GTA or somewhere in Canada, but what we're really getting are lots of buyers and lesser sellers. And the thing is, I wanted to ask, how do you go about leads or prospects that have been requesting for information regarding home valuation, let's say last year, but our team was trying to get in touch with them each month, but they weren't able to reach them. And so after 2 years or a year, I'm doing a follow-up again, and this time I was able to reach some of them, and they're asking, they're saying that I've requested that eons ago or years ago. How come that you just contacted me, something like that? Okay, so you mean when they initially requested the information, they did not receive it? They received it, but they weren't able to get in touch, or we're not able to know if they were able to really receive it, or it was really sent to the right email address. Because there are times that people that are signing into the website are putting in fake email addresses or contact numbers, so we need to follow up. They can't very well be upset with you because your information didn't get through to a fake email address. Like, how could somebody get upset with that? Like, if I were to say to you, yeah, Gabriella, sorry, Hazel. Hazel,
like I requested that information 8 months ago, and you didn't even send it to me. And I mean, I put in mickeymouse@joeblow.com. Well, how? I mean, if they put in an incorrect email address, certainly they wouldn't be wondering why they didn't get the information, right?
Yes, exactly. How about, how do you go about the ones who put in their right information? Because our system
I think what you need to do, you need to be, I'll tell you what, you need to be very clear and concise in your introduction. You need to say, okay, Hazel, it's James McDonald with Craig Proctor's office from RE/MAX calling. The reason I'm calling you is because several months ago, you were on our website and you'd requested an over-the-net home evaluation, and we did prepare that information and send it to the email that you provided us. I hope that's okay. Or I hope you did receive that information, and if you'd like, we can send you an updated one. Would that be okay? No, you say yes, or you say sure. Then I say, by the way, are you considering making a move in the next few months?
Okay, because I'm trying. Here's
the deal. Here's the deal, Hazel. In your introduction, you've got to be very concise and clear as to why you're calling and what they did for you to be calling them. What did they do that's causing you to call them today? Be very clear about it. I'm calling you because several months ago you were on our website and you had requested an over-the-net home evaluation. And I did prepare and email you all of that information, which I hope you received. But if you'd like, I can send you an updated version. Would that be helpful? Prospect says, sure. By the way, are you thinking about making a move in the next 3 to 6 months? And now you're in the script, and everybody's at peace with the world.
Okay, so it all depends on the introduction.
The introduction is critical as to how the conversation goes. If prospects are saying to you, I never got that, right? Or if there's some common objection that they're getting over and over again, then you need to edit your introduction so that it addresses that. Like, you know what you did, and you are able to call them. Or if they put in and that's why you're going to be specific. We did send the information to the email you provided. Now, if you provided a bad email, well, then it went to a bad email. But we sent the information. So here's how we're going to combat this. Before you say anything, I'm going to say, Hazel, we did send you the information to the email address you provided. I hope you received that. But if you'd like an updated, newer evaluation, I can do that for you. Would that be helpful? So now I'm no longer talking about the old one from 8 months ago. I'm talking about, would you like me to send you one right now? You say yes or no. But I'll tell you what, if you say yes, it leads me to believe that there's some motivation there. But now, once you say yes, then I say, great. By the way, you're thinking about making a move in the next 3 to 6 months.
Understood. Okay, so I know what I need to change now. Thank you for that.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. What were you saying? So I answer the phone. Hello? What were you saying before?
Hi, my name is Hayes. Oh, hi, is James there?
Yeah, this is James.
Hi, James. My name is Hazel, and I'm calling on behalf of the Devote team with the Century 21 Dreams. And we received your request for information that you wanted from our website regarding the home evaluation you requested. So I wanted to let you know that I have sent out that information to you. Is that okay?
I don't remember going on any website.
Oh, I understand. But the request was made or came from the Facebook website, one of the ads available there online for home valuation. So were you planning on making a move in the next 3 to 6 months?
Okay, so do you see how by being more specific right from the beginning, we're going to eliminate all that? Right? Yeah. Just right from the beginning. Hey, Hazel, the reason I'm calling is because several months ago, you requested an over-the-net home evaluation from a Facebook offer that you saw. And I just wanted to let you know, I did prepare an email to the email address you provided that information several months ago. I hope you did get a chance to see that. But if you'd like one that's more recent from now, I'd be more than happy to prepare an email one to you. Would that be helpful?
Perfect.
Now you say yes. Now I don't ever talk about that again. I go right to, are you thinking about making a move in the next 3 to 6 months? And now I'm in the script. And if you said, yeah, you know, we're looking to get our home on the market, you know, we need to do something, then I would say I would make the seller offer, because the seller offer is way better than an over-the-net home evaluation.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you
Cool
so
deal.
much for your help, James.
You're so very welcome. Thanks, Hazel. Thanks for volunteering. Okay, Andrea, do we have any chat questions left before we wrap it up?
Yes, this comes from Lino. It says, calling about a buyer lead. If they don't answer the phone, do you leave them a voicemail? If so, what do you say?
I would leave a voicemail as a last resort. But honestly, here's what you'll find. Very, very rarely will a prospect call you back from your voicemail. So you got to ask yourself, well, if they're not, then what's the purpose of leaving the voicemail? And the truth is, there really isn't one. And that's why in all the Craig Proctor material, you won't find a script from Craig of a voicemail, because there isn't one. Now, we have other students in the system that have developed different messages that they leave as a last resort that has proven to be somewhat effective for them. So you can experiment with different messages. But here's the problem. If I were to give you a message to leave, what you would do is you would call back a prospect once. When it went to voicemail, you would leave a voicemail, and then you would say, ball's in your court. I followed up. I called them. It's up to them now. And none of them will call you back. We have to reach the prospect. That's the bottom line. And if you leave a voicemail message, then the message is going to say, I'm a realtor calling you, whereupon they will not call you back, because you have to identify yourself as a realtor. But we don't have the option of explaining why we're calling them. So you could go ahead and try to leave a long-winded message on their voicemail, but the bottom line is a realtor is calling them. So you're asking them to please call back a salesperson, because that's their perception. Salesperson's calling me. We are not in the habit of calling back salespeople. So this is why what you'd be much better off doing is hanging up and calling them back. You probably find, watch this, this is remarkable. You probably find you'll get as many prospects calling you back when you don't leave a message than when you do. Okay, think about it. I got a phone call from a local telephone number, and I don't recognize this number, so I let it go to voicemail. But they didn't leave a message. I hate that. They didn't leave a message. And you know what I do? I say, screw it. I click on the number because I want to know who it is. And I call the number back. Who is this that just called me a minute ago? You'll get as many people doing, you'll get more people that would call you back that not leaving a message than if you did satisfy them by leaving a voicemail, and they'd listen to the voicemail. Your phone would go bling. Oh, voicemail. You click on the voicemail. Hi, I'm James. I'm a realtor. Done, gone, right? So here's the bottom line. The only time you'd ever leave a message is as a last resort. If you've called somebody, 10 times and you're never calling them back again, then I guess there's no harm in leaving them a voicemail, but you'll probably find there's very little benefit as well. And that is, by the way, that's not my advice. That's Craig's. All right, that's directly from Craig Proctor, who, by the way, has a sore throat. So he wanted to be on today's role play session, but he can't speak. He has no voice, which needs to be remedied before the super conference coming up in a week and a half, because it's going to require about 30 hours worth of talking. Andrea, thanks so much for your help today. Thanks to everyone for participating as well. Appreciate it. Hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. Tomorrow's the ad clinic session. So send in any of your ads and we'll talk about lead generation on tomorrow's webinar. Thanks, Andrea.
Thank you, James. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Talk to you all on tomorrow's marketing clinic.